lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. It's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Of the tracks on the schedule for the AMGSC, Spa probably brings feelings of dread to the most drivers in the series. Whether it's the difficulty in breaking the draft, avoiding off-track incident points, or just simply navigating the tricky pit lane, there's plenty to worry about. But in the end, someone has to win, and the question will be, who will capitalize if it all goes pear-shaped for their competitors? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Soup and Scallon. Covering the prototype and GT1 classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Next to him, covering the GT3 class, is Chris Scala. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Chris, Spa usually puts on a good show, and in this series tends to throw up some unexpected results. Tell us about the track the drivers are about to face.
This thing is a monster. It's a fun track, Joe, to be on. It's a historic track. It was designed almost 100 years ago, 1920. It was laid out on public roads. The original course had not one, not two, not three, but 25 corners, and was 14.9 kilometers or 9.31 miles long. After World War II, the track was shortened slightly, but then remained the fastest road circuit in Europe and had a nasty reputation for being pretty dangerous. And because of that, in 1981, the safety concern forced the track to be even shortened even more. So this time cutting 7 kilometers and 4 miles out of the old layout. The modern layout we are racing at today's been around since about 2007. It's 4.3 miles, 7 kilometers, and depending on the layout, it could be 19, 20, 21 corners. But when it's all over with, we got a very, very fun and very historic track here, Joe.
And to give us an idea of what it's like around here, let's go to the GSRC lap guide. All right, we've got Amjad Yaman of the GSRC Aston Martin, so let's do a lap around Spa. Down into La Source, you've got a good passing opportunity, but this hairpin is notorious for cars tangling on the first lap or two, so be aggressive at your own peril. Honestly, as we plunge down the hill, you'll see that a good exit out of that corner should really be your focus. Nobody wants to be forced into a two-wide game of chicken into Eau Rouge, and it certainly won't come out well if both sides think they've got bigger brass than the other. As we crest the hill of Rodillon, once again, exit speed is everything. The momentum you carry will allow you to either attack or defend easier on your way down the Kimmel Straight. This is probably the most popular overtaking spot on the circuit with its lead up to Lecumbe. Drivers will be jockeying for position as they set up for the braking on this corner. But on occasion, skilled drivers can still defend from the outside. With a switchback, you're sometimes able to hold on until you find yourself on the inside again. Just a little flick through Malmedy, and we're at the highest point on the track. From there, the circuit starts to head back downhill again, and it takes us into the difficult braking for Rivage. This 180-degree bend loves to make the car understeer, and most drivers will find it hard getting back to the power. Switch sides quick and then swing it through no-name corner. If you can actually spare enough focus to look up, you can see just how far we've traveled from the valley at the start of the course. But no time to relax, because next up is Pouan. This is a very quick double apexer, but the modern paved runoff makes it easier to recover from mistakes than it used to be. Going wide might cost you time, but the car should still be whole. Bring the car off to the left now and slow it up for the chicane of Fagnes. This medium speed set of corners sometimes offers a chance to pass, but you gotta be fairly close to the car ahead. Once again, gotta get the car to switch sides very quickly, and then it's time to tackle Stavelo. The first half makes it tempting to turn in too early. Then, in these GT1s, you'll be giving just a little lift to make it through the second half. With a huge amount of time spent on power after this, being able to get on the gas early will really pay off. The circuit is going to slowly weave back and forth while your speed just continues to build and build. By the time you come up to Blanchimont, you're practically flying, which means you won't be able to get through here flat out. After that, set yourself up for the braking into the bus stop. Last lap battles tend to be settled here as drivers try to be the last of the late breakers into the chicane. Watch out for the tall sausage curbs to the inside because the car really does not like them. Don't get too greedy on the power so that you can keep traction. Then make sure and get the car pointed straight and complete a lap around Spa. The GSRC Aston Martin taking us for a lap here around the long track of Spa. Hopefully it gives a short version instead of a long version of the championship update. Let's go to Bill Soup Zahn.
Okay, this is our final trip here to a European track before we head down south to Phillip Island. So let's look and see how they stand. Starting with the prototypes. Robert Tinsey started to become on of late. He's been strong at the end of the season here, has taken over the first place position after Jason Gerard had a bad event last time. Just wasn't feeling it. He had to step away from that one. He's now 4 points behind, but still in the hunt. Big Cheese John Ulmer only 9 points back. We keep waiting for Alex Simonik to get a win. He comes closer and closer all the time. He is competitive with those front four guys. Watch for him to be up there. And then Daniel Gralti rounds out the overlay. Let's go ahead to the GT1s. It's Wojciech Svidovic. He's got a comfortable lead and plenty of pocket points as he's up by 20 over defending champ Stephen McGarvey. Billy Smith II had a bad event last time. Boy, he just can't put it together. We keep waiting for it to happen. Maybe it'll happen here in Belgium. And then down below, Brandon Postma moves up a spot with Paul Darling leaving this class going to the GT3s. Let's go ahead and look at those GT3s right now. And it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's Laurel Costa. He's way out in front, has a nice 28-point lead. But you have to look there in that yellow. Look at those pocket points. He only has 4 left. Yeah, Bradley Haley only has 10 pocket points left. But what that means is if there is a disaster for Costa, he doesn't have any insurance. Haley still within striking distance if misfortune befalls Costa. Dave Hill having a good run as well for TMC Crimson. Sheldon Rosenblum, probably the most improved driver of the season, sitting there in 4th. Robert Jackman rounding out the overlay. Then we finally move to the team championship. They've been up in front for most of the season. They begin to stretch their lead now that Robert Tinsey's coming on. Of course, we're talking about Talon Motorsports. But look down below. Lots of Christmas time down there with red and green arrows everywhere. TMC Carbon, they move up into 2nd. Dropping out of 2nd place is Autobahn Motorsports, the West version. But they're still very close, only separated by 3 points. A little farther back, you get to Autobahn Motorsports. This is the East team making a run. Ryan Bird, Leif Peterson doing a lot of the work there. And, of course, Sheldon Rosenbaum as well. Itasha Motorsports, who was up in front early, have fallen on hard times. They continue to drop down the overlay. Okay, Joe, back to you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what this race has in store for us today for potentially new viewers. Of course, we've got 3 classes out there racing. The prototypes have only the HPD, but the GT1s have two makes of cars. The GT3s have 2 makes of cars. Aston Martins and Corvettes, and the GT1s, and Ford GTs and Mercedes AMGs in the GT3. This is a 60-minute race, so considered a sprint race for this series. They are open setup. However, their fuel is limited, which means we can expect 1 pit stop, and they have 1 free repair to call on, which effectively acts as a spare car if they have too much damage and feel it's worth taking it at any point in the race. 24 incident limit. Now, that's going to be important today at a place like Spa, where it's easy to rack up the 1Xs. You can see the GT3 car, if I believe that was Tejada, they're just demonstrating going just off track. If you go off track, if you spin, or if you hit another car on the wall, you get an incident point, 24 of them. You are immediately DQ'd and pulled off the track, no questions. The weather today, though, let's take a look here. We've got partly cloudy, which tends to be good for racing. 67-degree air temperature, 81 out on track. So actually just pretty nice, I would say, Bill, for what they have to deal with.
Should be okay, and these guys everyone should be very familiar with Spa, and I think they'll be okay. Temperatures, nice day here in Belgium. I think we got a good show coming up.
Undoubtedly. Now, right now, they are doing their last chance qualifying, which, if you're not familiar with this series, they have mixed qualifying for these final 15 minutes. Otherwise, it is all single class qualifying, each with their own 15 minutes before we come to air, that they're able to get their times in. This is for those who have not put a lap in any of their respective qualifyings for whatever reason that they can't make it out there on track. Now, of course, if they decide to wait for this, or if they have no choice but to wait for this, it is a bit of a disadvantage with it being mixed class, but good news for them today is there's only 3 cars out there, 1 from each class, so they really shouldn't have too many problems. So, looking at the stories that we're facing today, over to those GT3s, it seems like Costa's really been dominant, but he had a bad one last weekend with some accidents. With this being a very thirsty track here today, Chris, do you think Costa can come back? Do you think fuel will be on his side, or what do you expect from him?
I think anything's possible here tonight. I mean, you look right now, Haley is looks like going to be the pole sitter in that GT3 class. You got Costa P4. I think it's going to come down to strategy here with the 60% fuel, the newer tire build here. Are tires even going to be an issue tonight? I think that's going to be one of the big stories here, because you could see people get in there and just short fill their car, get in as quick as possible, get out there and maybe steal some track position. I think we got a very interesting race in our hands.
Undoubtedly. And Bill, this place has a few places that drivers can try and overtake. There's definitely some straights where the draft offers some opportunities.
Yep, there is. Into La Source, maybe. It's a kind of short run out of the bus stop. Lacombe certainly after the long run, but I think the place where I see most of the excitement, I think the most exciting, is down into the bus stop, especially with our finish line being just a little bit past that one. You can see, you get in the draft, you see the play there, and then they'll come out of the bus stop side by side, and then it's a drag race to the finish line. Now, the finish line here, I always have to pay attention every time we do one of these. Where are we starting? Where are we finishing? Because the layout kind of changes it. Today, the start is going to be around the other side of La Source, as they stagger this thing, but the finish line is going to be before we get to the hairpin.
Exactly, and we'll make sure and catch that this time. We see Ryan Bird coming across to get his lap time in with just about 3.5 minutes left to go. We should be able to get to that pretty early here for the grid, since it's only 3 cars out there completing their laps. Now, we have Stephen Parks back with us once again as our pit reporter. He joined us 2 weeks ago, rather, I should say, at Silverstone, and returns here for Autobahn here at Spa off across the channel. And Stephen, we're glad to have you back, and looking forward to have you covering some of our pit action.
Yeah, it should be a great race tonight, and we'll see if it comes down to pit stops once again here tonight.
So as we watch them continue to put their laps in. Now,
And Joe, I just want to follow up. Just because fuel isn't an issue here today, that doesn't mean it won't play a factor. We talked about Costa. Watch out for him. He's always sneaky as far as saving fuel and passing people in the pits, because he doesn't have to put as much in.
We've seen that plenty.
Yeah.
However, I do want to talk a little bit about Gerard. He's back again this week, but boy, it almost seemed like he wasn't present 2 weeks ago at Silverstone. In fact, took himself out voluntarily, we understand.
Yeah, he just wasn't feeling it. It just wasn't going right. I think he probably said, this is only going to get worse, and I'm going to not only get myself more upset, but maybe some of my competitors as well. So he sat out. That's one of the advantages you have. He had those drop race in his pocket, so still in the hunt, and he knows this place. And, of course, Ulmer hates to come, although look at this. He's faster than qualifying right now. Ulmer, notoriously bad luck whenever he leaves the continental United States.
It's been showing itself with his results so far here in the European leg. Didn't have the greatest of races back at Silverstone, with a few mistakes and a few contacts with other cars along the way that set him back off the podium. One driver that did get himself a second podium of the season, though, at least in GT1, which is surprising considering how fast he used to be, is Postma. Finally gets himself another one. But he's well down the order. I don't think he has a hope for this GT1 championship this far into the season.
No, it's loaded up on top. I mean, maybe on a normal season, but my gosh, Sviderdovic has been untouchable, and he got on a little string where he actually missed winning for like 3 races. We said, uh-oh, but he ended that one quick enough. And Stephen McGarvey's a defending champ, and then you got Billy Smith up there too, waiting to strike. So yeah, Postma really doing well. He picks up a spot with Paul Darling not being here, and we miss Paul. He's not here today either. But always competitive, and he'll be running. He races about the same. He'll match up somewhere out there with Billy Smith. Maybe gets a win today.
And speaking of drivers not showing, sad news in GT3, Chris. It sounds like Patrick Fleming is not going to be back for the rest of the season. I know you weren't here for it, but he got injured in a real-world car accident. His shoulder has been bothering him for a number of weeks. I believe it was dislocated, if I remember correctly. He tried to come back for part of the season for his Itasha team. That's really what's been setting them down with their fast drivers. And unfortunately, Chris, it looks like they won't be able to get too many points with one of their 3-pronged attack being gone now.
Yeah, that's a very tough situation when you hurt your shoulder, especially any upper part of your body, because the shoulder, when And it's actually ironic. I'm grabbing my wheel as we're talking about this, and I'm turning my shoulders. That's a pretty important thing that you need, especially on a road course race like Spa. So many quick corners that you got to go through. That shoulder can take can take a beating pretty much on this kind of a course. So it's just a tough situation for that team and for Fleming, and obviously we wish him nothing but the best, but note that he'll come back and he'll be 100%.
And we haven't talked about it in a long time, but maybe quickly talk about how the teams are set up. There are 3 classes, and a team needs 1 driver from each class, and the top scores from all 3 drivers count. But what makes it interesting is that there is a iRacing cap where you just can't load up on top-tier drivers. And it's hard to replace drivers. So, when you lose one, it costs you.
Speaking of teams, I understand a team that's a little bit close to your heart has a new recruit out there, Bill.
We're working in here. We have a very relaxed driver coming in of Jeffrey Ohms for Mama Jean Racing. I have a little association with that. She's my 95-year-old mother-in-law who watches from Lakewood, California. She wanted to drive on iRacing, and so to save for the sake of all the iRacers out there, I talked her into owning a team as well, and she's quite happy doing that one. So Jeffrey Ohms is going to be racing here. We'll get him a paint scheme pretty soon for Mama Jean Racing. Going to be teamed up with Dino Topic.
Glad to see him out there for Mama Jean. Well, our grid is now set, so let's go through our order. John Ulmer, as we mentioned, on the pole, and by about 3/10 over Jason Gerard. Let's see if he can do anything with that speed for a full 60 minutes. Alex Simonic's going to start the inside of row 2 in third. Robert Tinsey, uncharacteristic for him, all the way down in 4th here in qualifying. Apparently couldn't get himself a clean and fast lap in. Dino Topic starting inside the top 5, with Scott Corbin starting in 6th. Mark Wilson will start in the 7th position, followed by Lionel Duprat in 8th, Sean Reese in 9th, and Ryan Bird rounding out conveniently in the top 10 for our HPD class. Bill?
Like it when it works out there. We have 11 drivers in the GT1s. 9 of them are in Aston Martins, and 2 of them sit up front. Look at that, Stephen McGarvey in front of Wojciech Sidorovich, but they're both qualified very close together, and they'll be close all the way around. We talked about Billy Smith. He's in a Corvette. Here's a new name we have to keep an eye on, new to the series this season, Matthew Epstein, 4th, qualifying ahead of Leif Peterson in another Corvette. Kevin Santana next. Then we talked about him, Brandon Postma, way down the list right now. Not feeling it so far, but he knows how to get it done. So keep an eye on him. Carter Kundinger, Paul Lindsay, David Sockrider, and Matt Owens rounds out the GT1s. Let's go to Chris to talk about the GT3s.
Yeah, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, Bradley Haley going to start on the pole in that class. He'll be starting alongside Jeffrey Ooms, the driver you mentioned. Looks like he's going to be joining Mama Jean's team. I'm kind of curious to see, Soup, if we decide to put your beard on the hood of the car. I think that would be kind of interesting. Paul Darling, he'll start inside of in the 24th, I should say. That's going to be on the outside, alongside Laurel Costa, the point leader in GT3, will be there in 25th. Sheldon Rosenblum, and then the first 4 GT there will start in the 27th position of Dave Hill alongside Scott McGarvey. Jim McInnes, he'll start alongside Robert Jackman, so another Toronto Blue Jays car there starting in the 30th position. Rounding out the rest of your 38-car field here, Michael Reity, you got David Tejada there 32nd. Mark Kedrowski is there at 33rd alongside Miguel Meyer. Robert Skolensky, Christopher Sherburne, and then the 2 who did not put times down, Benjamin Haxton, which, Joe, I see he's in the lineup tonight, usually is on the podium when he races, so we'll have to keep track of where he starts here from the back alongside of Boada.
Carradine Boafia. I'll help you on that one since you're new here. Jump in.
Yeah, Carradine's name is can throw you off a little bit. And of course, Carradine racing in the GT1, so he will start from the pit lane and will be released after the GT1s go by, so he can get out in front of the GT3. And you're right that it looks like Benjamin Haxon going to have a lot of work to do there. Every time he showed up this season, he has finished on the podium. Can he do the same from dead last in his class? There you can see they've lined up just before Blanchimont, so we're not doing a full pace lap here around Spa. I'm sure drivers are thankful for that one as we wait for the rest of them to grid up, and the roof pace car is going to lead them out for about a third of a lap before we go racing for 60 minutes here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. And just as they get ready to go here, I ask my usual question for your picks for the day. Bill?
Well, my heart wants to pick Alex Simonik. I think he's ready, but I can't do it. I like Jason Girard sitting in the second spot. No way John Ulmer wins in Europe. You go down to the GT1s. I got to be born. I think it's time for Stephen McGarvey, our defending champion, to get the win. He's sitting ahead of Sidorovich right now, wire to wire for him. Chris, I knew you're new to the series, but who do you like down there in the GT3s?
Well, I didn't get a chance to talk to Sean Ambrose and his awesome picks, but let's see. I'm just going to throw 3 random names out. I'm going Girard. In the Protos, I'm going with, was it Swirly, I believe is what we call him?
Okay, you got it.
We'll go with him in the GT1. GT3, I'm going for a reach here. Hackison from the back.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Wouldn't surprise you. He's fast.
He is indeed. He put on a show last round at Silverstone, took the win. In fact, snagged it away from the driver that really wanted it most, I would say, Bradley Haley, because since Hackison is not in the GT3 Points Championship, too many races missed. Now, as the pace car pulls off, you're going to see the pace car go into the pit lane, but Ulmer is not going to take off. As Bill said, the start line is not here out of the bus stop. It's down the hill out of La Source. All of our HPDs are going to stack up a little bit here, a few of them having to make sure they don't get into anybody. I saw some tire smoke as someone locked him up. Ulmer leads the way. He's got Girard to his outside as they're going to have to tiptoe their way around La Source and then get stacked up once again, getting very close to each other back there. But Ulmer does not wait whatsoever and accelerates away, gets a good jump on Girard. Looks like Alex Simonik trying to hold back Robert Tinsley, who slots into line as they all go single file through Eau Rouge. Let's go to the GT1s.
McGarvey just coming around La Source right now. They get him paired up. A little bit of momentum from Sidorovich. McGarvey's waiting to make sure Sidorovich didn't have the momentum, and he's really holding him up. And now he goes. He gets a good jump. Sidorovich is going to take second. Billy Smith drops into third. Looks like they're file in the same way they qualified. Epstein into fourth. Kevin Santana picks up a spot, moves into fifth. Chris?
Tell you what, the GT3 is already underway, and right away Bradley Haley said, "Bye guys, I am gone," as he is on the gas and real quickly up Eau Rouge. They are single file as Zooms falls into second. You got Paul Darling, Laurel Costa, and Sheldon Rosenbaum already your top 5 as they work their way up the long straightaway here.
And Oobs definitely cut the course. I wondered about that as I watch him go up Eau Rouge. You can see him slowing down, and on the first lap build, that can be a killer.
God, you hate to get a slowdown penalty in the first lap. iRacing doesn't know how much to penalize you.
And that's going to move. Look at Lauro Costa,
yeah, he's
started in fourth. Wow, Chris.
Yeah, he put it down, made a nice move there going into Lacombe's, and was able to make the pass there on Darling to move him up to the second spot already, and he's already chasing down Haley.
We understand we had some problems with Dino Topic. I'm going back to see if I can figure out what happened with him. Looks like into Lacombe, he just outbraked himself a little bit, lost control of the car, and spun sideways into the inside barrier. In the meantime, Tinsley has managed to overtake Simonik to get himself up onto the podium and is now hounding his championship competitor, Jason Girard.
They run 1, 2, 3, 4 up in the prototypes. Ulmer not getting away from the field.
Not quite yet. Girard, if you're just joining this series, led pretty much the championship all the way until the last round, when finally Tinsley had regained the ground he had lost at the start of the season and has overtaken him in the points. But today he hasn't overtaken him yet as they complete lap 1 out on track. Up through Eau Rouge once again. Ulmer nice and smooth up over the hill and is actually starting to stretch away a little bit.
Wow, and in the GT1s, it looks like a victory day in Red Square right now. It is a long parade. It's nobody has left it.
Swirly still leading the way, and he's trying
it's McGarvey in front of
Yes, McGarvey, sorry about that. McGarvey still leading the way with Swirly giving close chase. In fact, he is tightly up behind that rear spoiler as they come over the top of Verdillion and didn't get quite a good run, although he's going to have the draft start to reel him in. Is it going to be enough? Both of them, however, being reeled in by Billy Smith as well as Swirly looks to the inside down to Lacombe, and I don't think there was any sort of defense from McGarvey as he lets Swirly through.
Meanwhile, as they just came out of Eau Rouge here to GT3 class, Laurel Costa is the man on the move as he is already up on the back bumper of the leader here, Bradley Haley, up the straightaway of the Camel straight into Lacombe here. looks like everybody's going to be single file, but make it a three-man race here. Paul Darling, that 155 car, he is looking to make a move here for the lead himself. Now, one thing I do want to mention, Soup, on your GT1 class, Buafla, I believe it's, you were trying to help me with that name. He actually started behind a GT3 pack, so he has got to get through this whole entire pack to get to his pack.
Yeah, Kiradine Buafia, they like to let them squeeze out in there, but really it's kind of a hard ask, Joe. I think usually when they have to start from there, basically they kind of start from the back of the pack, don't they?
Usually they can get out. I think the flying the ointment was that they were at Spa, and that long pit lane may be what tripped him up.
Yeah.
Topic possibly having more problems this time in the bus stop, it looks like.
Oh, a nice move by DePratt to miss him. Also, Reese got around him. And he's going to come in. And
he got damaged, though.
Yeah.
It looks like Reese did not miss him. So he's come into the pits and is going to have to get some repairs, it looks like. Not a good start for the Mama Jean driver. We're going to watch on board Reese's view here from the replay into the bus stop. See if he had any sort of time to react to this.
Needs to follow DePratt. DePratt makes it up ahead. Follow the guy in front of you. He gets by. Oh, not me.
Yep.
The question I have, guys, is do you usually reset now?
It's a little early for that. It depends on how much damage he took. And you can see already he's being overtaken by these GT1s. This pit lane's so long, it is incredibly costly if you have to come in for an extra stop.
Tell you what, Joe, back here at GT3, this, remember, it was a 2-car fight, then it was a 3-car fight. It's becoming a 5-car fight now for the lead as we're watching 4th place Sheldon Rosenbaum and Jeffrey Ooms. These guys are slowly starting to catch this pack of 3 cars here. Tell you what, these GT3 cars are not letting each other run away. And just an update, I should mention, on the guy that we were watching from the back, Benjamin Hackinson. He has already gained some 5 or 6 spots up in the 32nd spot overall right now and 10th in class. So he's working his way up through the field.
Hack from the back.
I like that. As he pulls up behind Michael Righty and is going to take to the inside down into Lacombe to get him up into 9th place now.
Don't need to cover it. Kevin Santana just had a spin, lost several positions.
Santana is our AM championship leader in the GT1s, although he has only one other AM driver in that class that he's fighting with. So not a whole lot of people that he has to fend off, but he's got to keep getting good results if he wants to take that home this season.
Any relation to Carlos?
I'm sure he wishes. Meanwhile, Robert Tinsley has not been giving up on Gerard. He's very close with about 3/10 behind the California driver.
Yep, the top 3 out there getting to pull away. Simonic doing everything he can to stay with the big guys, but he's fallen off the pace a little bit.
Guys, we got a
New York driver.
We got a nice little battle back here. Dita Topic is working his way through the GT3 cars back here, and he's up to the leaders right now, and he is trying to fight his way through here. This is going to get tricky here.
Oh, he's got a nice long straight. Unfortunately, it weaves back and forth as they come up to Blanchimont, but he gets him just before Blanchimont, so he is safely through now and doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, it didn't hurt any of those cars in the GT3 class. You wonder if you try to hurt some of the momentum there, but looks like no harm, no foul. One move almost back here for 4th. Rosenblum almost got underneath Ooms. Ooms has gotten by him for 4th.
Remember, Ooms started a little bit farther up in that first lap penalty. The slowdown penalty from cutting the course cost him a lot of time, and he is trying to recover. Meanwhile, McGarvey is still trying to get that lead back from Sviatovic. Unfortunately, is not able to do it this time by down into Lacombe. He's going to have to stay in 2nd.
He had a good run as we look off the back of your points leader. Didn't force the issue. The 3 cars that begin to pull away, the 2 front runners there of Sviatovic and McGarvey, also includes Billy Smith. He's just himself about 2.5 seconds
back here for the lead, guys. For the lead, Laurel Costa down into Lacombe is going to take the lead from Bradley Haley. So the guy we mentioned who could be the one to beat today, Costa already P1.
Apparently not that great at qualifying, but race pace for Costa very solid, as already only 5 laps in. He's taken the lead in the GT3s. Now Haley very much under threat from Darling, the smooth driver out there in his Mercedes. has showed dominance in this series before, but since the arrival from Costa, been a little bit harder for Darling. Can he do anything today to try to bring back that former glory?
Yeah, watch out for Darling. He doesn't get in the practice time that he used to be able to get in. He's stronger in the second half of the race. The more he races, the more he figures out his car.
Well, it could be scary to see Darling running this well then if that's the situation he's in, because he's only, about a half second to a second behind the leader. Now Costa's starting to pull away here, but if he could run like this, P3 right now in that second half, he could be dangerous.
Now, while we watched his brother doing very well up in GT1, unfortunately, Scott McGarvey in the GT3s is already wrecked out and DNF'd. So that's two drivers we have gone, Mark Kudrowski and Scott McGarvey, here early in the race.
And we did find out Scott, they are brothers, and Scott is the older brother.
No problems for Santana. He's had another spin.
Something has happened to Billy Smith. He was running third in the GT1s, and for the life of me, I can't find what happened to him. Oh, a disconnect. That's why I can't find it. Poor guy.
Billy Smith just can't catch a break in these GT1 cars. Here we switched up to Jason Gerard, who is still running in second. He's left Robert Tinsley behind a bit. Remember, he was as close as 0.3 of a second. He's bumped it up to about half a second between himself and the Michigander. Oh, and
John Ulmer saying, "Oh no."
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what he's saying "oh no" to. I think we've lost a few drivers.
Oh, we got a battle for second up here on the straightaway, the Kemmel Straight, as Paul Darling is to the outside making a move, and he will pass Bradley Haley for second. And Ohm's going to drive it in deep. Smart move on his part.
All of them do manage to come out of it. Costa still leading with Darling in second now. Bradley Haley in third, but for how long as Ooms looks to the inside, down into Ravage, not able to sneak by that Mercedes. Tucks in right behind him. Meanwhile, second place is up for grabs as Robert Tinsley gets by around the outside of Gerard, and I think that was a lift from Gerard to let him through.
Yeah, that's one of those smart moves there. You know what? To win a race, Joe, you got to be able to finish it. And that's one of those, you know what? I'll get you later. Still got 49 minutes to go in this race and still a pit stop.
Some of the drivers that have DNF'd so far, they might come back, we hope, have had a bit of a disconnect. So some of those, including McGarvey, Kudrowski, Billy Smith, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation there. Of course, we think about the issues that iRacing had that caused the Watkins Glen race to be postponed this week. It was supposed to be the 6-hour race, but due to the Le Mans issues a few weeks back, they decided, hey, let's get this issue fixed first. And I don't want to connect these two, but you just never know.
Yeah, we have no reason to believe that it's the same thing at this point.
Right.
There's only 3 drivers. Meanwhile, we're riding on board with Ulmer as he catches the back of the GT3s and is now slicing through that class.
First up is, well, he's already got through, I guess. Solanke, yeah, he's working his way through here now.
That's Christopher Sherburne. He just went by.
Miguel Meyer coming up, and David Tejada. Spa plays out pretty well for multi-class racing. It's easy to have a good racing line. Not a lot of left-right combos where you're not sure the car has to come across in front of you. I like this place. This should work. We should be okay today.
Smith is back out. He is going to try and finish this race. Thankfully, not a DNF for him. Now, you say that, Bill, but there's some fast corners you don't want to be caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. This one in particular, Eau Rouge, that we see Billy Smith coming out of on the pit lane. Ulmer's going through as well, and he gets a little bit lucky to go by Miguel Meyer at the right time. Tejada is next up on his plate, and he screams by on the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I'm getting out of if I'm in the slower class. I'm not sure I'm taking any kind of weird lacing line through there.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, Billy Smith and Hackison getting really close back here as Hackison's trying just to get out of the way almost of his 901 cars. He's come back onto the track here, but Smith going to make the move here. Now, Hackison's been the guy on the move in this class. He's already up to P7 right now in class, but definitely having issues with that Corvette in front of him.
And they're going to have more issues because Ulmer's now rocking up behind them as they come through Puhan. This is going to be a tricky place. He sneaks through on the inside of one of them. He might have to try and go around the outside. Ooh, that was
one car
brave.
way off the track over here. Wow, Tinsey, that's taking it wide.
And that's why Ulmer's in a hurry, because he has Bob the Blade Tinsey knifing his way through traffic behind him. Nobody's better.
I think Tinsey was over on the front stretch at one point.
And Tinsey essentially tried to make the same move that he saw Ulmer did, but it did not work out as well as, like you said, you can see on the replay, way off course. And then, of course, slide it up the inside of Jim McInnes, who is his teammate.
That definitely got a little crazy.
Well, that cost him a fair bit of time. He's a second back. GT1 lead is under threat, though, because Scott McGarvey has finally gotten back on Svirdadovic.
He had been looking at him down there a few times, and he finally got it done.
And these two have separated themselves from third place by a big distance. Matthew Epstein is just picking up the crumbs at this point.
It was a nice three-car battle until Billy Smith left it there. So Epstein back there running in third. Fourth is Carter Kundinger, and then Lee Peterson up into fifth. Postman not able to make up much ground yet.
There you see Kundinger in fourth, being chased by Leif Peterson. Got a bit of a battle farther back in the GT1s as Paul Lindsay is trying to chase down one of our podium finishers from last round, Postma. This is for 6th position in that class.
Again, sometimes Postma very competitive, not feeling it here in Belgium.
Hey, what, Joe? I'm really intrigued watching these leaders work their way through these GT3 cars. Just watching Tinsey get past Bradley Haley here. And right up ahead, Ulmer trying to work his way past Darling. Tough left-hand corner, almost some contact there. Wow, they're tight. And that's going to help out Tinsey here.
Well, Ulmer just about left his name in no-name corner. And now he's being held up because through Puhan, he's got to slow up for this GT3 car. Here comes Tinsey. Is he going to make a move? Decides not to go for it. Going to wait for the right opportunity. Up next is Buafia. That was Lauro Costa, our leader, actually. That's why he did not want to try and risk that one.
Buafia just made his way through the GT1s, or GT3 starting back there, and now the prototypes get through as well. Buafia had that apex. Tinsey wasn't able to get there. He lost a lot of time to Ulmer. But Tinsey has left Gerard behind. Gerard not able to get through traffic nearly as effective as the front two guys.
Likewise, Simonik doesn't seem to be able to hold on to the back of them either.
Bill, I want though a scenario to you, because I know the HPD is going to be a little different with the more fuel mileage day burn. We're coming up, we got 43 minutes to go here, so another lap or two. Do you see any GT1 or GT3 cars coming to pit road at this point to get the fuel to the finish?
I don't think so. Usually they play it out. It all depends on traffic. Usually these guys, GT3 guys, seem like to run it long and dry.
Tinsey still holding on within 0.6 of a second of Ulmer as we watch our overall leaders come to lap 9 now up through Eau Rouge. He drops back just a little bit with not the greatest of runs through that corner up onto the Kimmel Straight. We're wondering how things have been going in GT3. Costa holding about a second over Darling. Isn't able to shake him, but he's safe for now.
Yeah, this has been a fight back here. They've kept it within about 2 seconds of each other with, you mentioned Costa there in the lead. Paul Darling right there behind him, and then Bradley Haley's not let these two go. Now, was starting to make moves on them early in the race, but he is starting to fall off now. Plus, he's interacted some of these HPD leaders that are coming up through them. Ryan Bird trying to get around him right now in the 888. Meanwhile, this Corvette here, Billy Smith trying to work inside of Haley. That's going to hurt him time-wise because he's got an HPD trying to come through here also.
Smith coming back from a few laps down after his disconnect. Not really fighting for anything other than just trying to salvage some points and see if he can keep that third place in the GT1 Championship as we ride on board with Billy.
Oh, I like the mirror.
A little bit farther down in the prototypes, Lionel Duprat not too far behind. 7th place, Mark Wilson. Half a second between them.
I've been watching that one. They're just coming up on that Fluorescent blue machine.
And Joe, I just caught over the speaker here, Tinsley saying something about floor damage on his car. I know that's possible to do in these HPD cars. Could that be affecting him now?
Oh, almost.
We got a wreck right in front. Leaders, let's see, Billy Smith.
Billy Smith. It looks like it got into it with Bird. Billy Smith, and then Bird. Yes, Costa was involved in it too.
All right, let's see how this unfolded. They went 3 wide. It was Scott Corbin and then Ryan Bird behind it.
Why, they Costa neck-coated through it.
Yeah, Costa is still out in front of Darling.
Wow.
Yep. So
I don't see any damage on that 4 either. A little bit of door damage.
It looks like Costa was an innocent victim in this one. Smith thought that he was clear to the left. Didn't know that Bird was coming up behind him. Wow. Twice in a row now, Costa has found his race upset by an event he really couldn't control.
He's got very minor damage, Joe. As I'm looking at the left side of his car here, he's actually going to lose the lead maybe here. All I see is door damage really on him. But I tell you what, Darling is all over him right now. But here come some HPD leaders.
That was the battle we were watching earlier.
It's tight.
That's DePratt trying to sneak between them. Somehow does successfully. I don't know how they kept out of each other as he gets up on the back of Costa and almost comes into him. Goes to the right as they come down to Rivage, and now he's finally by. Costa is probably not a big fan of the HPDs right now.
Well, that's a great 3-car battle with Costa, Darling, and Haley watching the whole thing.
Yeah, that whole mess there allowed Haley to come back in. He had fallen about a second back, but now he is up in this picture, staying in the draft here. And you're wondering if and these guys back here 4th and 5th, as Sean Reese is now coming through here, but Rosenbaum, you wonder if these guys are like, hey, let's get a little more drama so we can catch them.
Stephen Parks in the pits. What do you know?
We got Haxon and Hill in the pits getting their tanks filled up and getting ready to get back on the track right now.
There's your strategy right there, I think. Maybe just fuel only on these guys, top the tanks off, get out of the pits as quick as possible. Get some track position.
Dave Hill, if we can get a close-up here of his paint scheme, that famous Blue Jay that he likes to put on there. He apparently is racing a little bit special tonight. We understand his mother might be watching. She's had an accident recently, which she had to go get a lot of stitches, and she's a big Blue Jays fan. We want to wish her the best recovery possible and have her help cheer her son on today.
The unfortunate news is the Blue Jays aren't doing that well either, so that kind of doesn't help things.
Sure, that isn't too sad of news for our director, though, in this case.
True.
I heard she is
being a Texan.
Such a Blue Jay fan that she actually had a tattoo of the Blue Jay, and the injury happened right on the tattoo. She was more upset about the tattoo being damaged than her arm.
Absolutely.
That's a dedicated fan.
Yeah, very much so. Dave Hill for TMC Crimson right now in 14th in class. Hopefully you can do some good out there today on track. Darling has not given up on our GT3 leader, Laurel Costa. He's got a great run coming out of Eau Rouge as well, but he has nowhere to go with it because coming up behind them is the HPD of Sean Reese, so he's going to stay back. And they have shaken Bradley Haley just a little bit. That Comet now making up the tail.
You wonder, Darling there, if he's just kind of riding maybe here behind. I know he couldn't make a move, but he could have easily turned over there and made the move on Costa going into Lacombs, I should say, wrong corner. He just kind of hanging there behind him, maybe saving a little bit of fuel.
Well, it sounds like Billy Smith has definitely retired at this point after having that incident now along with his disconnect. And his thoughts on the race we can't repeat on air, unfortunately, but I say he's done.
Was he saying he was going to eat some brownies?
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it.
That's what he meant, yes.
Well, our two closest battles are actually both for the lead, and that is GT1 and GT3. Swirly still hanging on to the back of McGarvey. Not quite as close as what we're seeing in the GT3s, but Vocek is within a second.
Yeah, unfortunately, McGarvey in the points, if you're talking big picture, it's always nice to finish ahead of the guy you're trying to run down, but he needs a little bit of gap between him and Sviatovic. If he's going to finish 1-2, it's going to be hard to catch him with only a few races left.
Yeah, Joe, I'm just listening here in chat, and on your HPD class there, Tinsley's been talking. He's got a lot of damage apparently in his undercarriage from flying in the air or something. He's losing time, it looks like, potentially to Ulmer and stuff, but they've been talking about it a little bit.
I believe we saw this at Imola here, Bill, where Tinsley had a similar incident.
Yep. And as you can see, he's fallen back now. Gerard is coming up on him.
And this is exactly what Gerard wants after the points that he lost at Silverstone. His main concern isn't so much Ulmer, although Ulmer's still pretty tight in the championship. He needs to beat Tinsley right now.
Well, if Gerard can get around Tinsley, then they'll be running in reverse order.
Who was that off? Mark Kudrowski and his Ford way off in Pujon. Looks like this was a single car incident.
Right in front of Ulmer. Well, not really. Ulmer had a good view of it, though, and you can see him way off. Boy, those Fords look pretty, even when they're stopped off the course.
Well, unfortunately for him, stopped is not what he wants to be. He does get it going again, but that's going to lose him a ton of time.
So here's the good news for Tinsley. There is a fast repair in this series. I guess he can come in and get that taken care of. That won't cost him a lot of time in the pits, will it? To do a fast repair?
It shouldn't, Bill, but the problem is using a fast repair for something like that. That could be an easy mistake that you could make. Just running over a curve a couple times could do that right back to you. So it's almost like you got to be careful just where you're at on the track, too.
Well, this is going to get exciting now, Joe, because they're coming up. Those two guys we're talking about, Tinsley and Gerard, coming up on the back of some back markers. Lindsay gets out of the way. They got Postma up here. Hackison is involved in this one. Ulmer gets through all those guys.
Unfortunately for Gerard, Tinsley's teammate is Postma on Talon Motorsport, so he's probably going to let Tinsley through a little bit easier than he is Jason Gerard. Might be a moot point as they catch him here on the Kimmel Straight. They're going to have to weave through traffic, though, and look at this. He's starting to gain ground on him. Up to Lacombe. Gerard, is he going to look to the inside? No, he gets in line.
You can watch those prototypes get behind the slower class car in front of them that punch a big hole. They get really sucked up. That's something I learned from having Ulmer in the booth with us one time. You just follow him up, and you get up behind him, and then you dart out from behind him, but you can really build your speed up down the straightaway. Get into the draft of the slower class cars ahead.
Now, guys, I'm still watching this battle here for the lead in GT3 with Darling and with Costa. Just a few laps ago, it looked like Costa was starting to stretch it out a little bit, but Paul Darling starting to kind of bring him back in here. And this two-car race is starting to come back to a three-car race, so I'm not sure if Costa's car is with that damage right on the back bumper here, but if that is considered a bumper. But anyways, you thought that with the damage he might be hurting a little bit, Costa, but somehow he's still able to hold on that lead as they go through Eau Rouge. They're almost wide open through that section right there. As a matter of fact, here comes Darling. He's got a good run inside here, Joe.
Down the Kimmel Straight. This could be just what Darling needed. He's got a nose ahead. He could actually pull over at this point, and he does. Down to the break into the Lacombe. Give P1 and the GT3s to Paul Darling for the first time today.
Pit stop time for Laura Costa. He's got to come in, get that taken care of.
Haley's been just watching behind, hasn't been able to close that gap. Now, an interesting point from our director about Tinsley and his damage. Was that potentially out of Pujon, where he went way wide?
It could have been because he had to cross back over the curve there, and that could have easily damaged that car because those curves aren't even. They're slightly, I guess, banked for a better word of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, as Tinsley's held up coming up Eau Rouge, is this going to be the opportunity that Gerard needs?
Split!
Wow. Straight up the middle, looking very Mika Hakkinen-esque for Jason Gerard. Put him into P2 for the prototypes.
I remember a movie with a guy named Gerard making moves like that.
Down into Ravage, they go back down the hill. I expect at this point Gerard should be able to streak away if that damage is doing like we were thinking to Tinsley. He certainly caught up to him quickly. Took a while to get by, but now that it's done, should hopefully be no problem for the New York driver to try and open that gap. But he's still got almost 4 seconds to our leader, Ulmer, the Texan driver, has been up at the front since the drop of the green.
So now they run in reverse orders, then they sat in the points. Ulmer, Gerard, Tinsley. It's Tinsley, Gerard, Ulmer in the points. Let's give some love to this driver in 5th position, Scott Corbin, newcomer to the series. Right now he's working on the back here of Benjamin Haxon. He gets around him. Running 5th in the prototypes, having a nice race. Nobody really to battle with. He's got 16 seconds to get up to Simonik. Bird making a run on me. You see Bird back there running in 6th. Always nice to see new blood coming into the series.
Absolutely. Tinsley's not giving up. I thought he would drop off, but I think some traffic brought them back together as he closes in down to the bus stop. The draft helped him into there, but he wasn't close enough to make a dive. Now up to La Source. We're already almost halfway, guys, so we should be seeing pit stop soon.
Already?
Yeah, I know. After 4 hours last night, me and Bill are kind of shocked to see it go this quickly.
4 hours in the Pac Majors Predator event. It was a good one.
Costa back up here on Darling. The fight is on.
Down
In
through
the
Guan they go.
GT3s. Yeah.
Closed into that rear spoiler. Out of the left-hander. Sometimes a place where you can sneak a pass in here into Fanye's, but not close enough this time. Didn't get the run off the corner. If they battle, is that going to bring the car of Bradley Haley in as well? And it sounds like we have some of our first scheduled pit stops starting. Let's go to Steven.
Yeah, guys, we have
Mark Wilson.
We have Bufasa or Bufaya coming to pit road. Buafia coming to pit road. We also have one of the prototypes coming in. Mark Wilson coming in to take a pit stop.
You can see how long it takes these cars to get down. He's just come around the hairpin, or the McDonald's turn, as you like to call it there, Bill.
Well, it's kind of like where you make your order for a fast food there.
Well, and see, now we have reason to bring up that story. Oh, it's actually Haley gets very close to the back of Costa.
Costa to pit road.
Exactly. As we watch Costa come in, an infamous incident here with Robert Tinsley, where he went around that hairpin and had a little problem where a car got into the back of him and turned him sideways to the point where what we call in Austin Powers literally could not get the car out of its situation perpendicular and had to take a tow.
And they were lining up behind him. The only thing you could do was just go away.
And guys, John Ulmer coming to pit road.
Here they come.
I think Costa just hit the pit wall, actually, as he was coming in. I heard some contact here with Costa, though.
Steven, it looks like all the prototypes are coming in. Ulmer, Gerard, Tinsley, and Simonik.
Yeah, that's right, guys. They're all coming in. And in front of them, you have David Tejada, who was slowed down a little bit and actually kind of checked up John Ulmer there.
Ulmer out of fuel?
No, he was held up by Tejada, I believe, coming through there, and unfortunately cost him time.
Oh, we got one car to miss pit road, a Corvette over here. Leif Peterson, he's backing it up over here as he gets the pit wall. Oh, now he's scraping it.
Oh, no, and
here comes
he's
Kevin
got
Santana.
damage. Wow, that car's
watch
beat
out
up
for him.
let's look at the replay. I'm surprised he didn't get a black flag for backing up on course. He must have just gone just short enough.
He's got to have damage from something, though.
Oh, he went way
wow.
out there. He had to have gotten a black flag for backing up that far. That is a long ways. Well,
Steven, it's right in there. You got Ulmer. Let's see who gets out first there. Ulmer, Gerard, and Simonik. Who's going to roll first?
well, I
Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, that was close. All of them almost out in synchronization. But it's going to be Ulmer still leading, Gerard second, Tinsley third. However, they are not that order on track, with Ryan Bird deciding to continue on for one more
Darling
before he takes
road.
a stop. Oh, and as I say that, Ryan Bird has an off. He's spun out and he retires.
Wow.
Or he takes a tow at least. He didn't hit anything.
Spinning from the lead and just got frustrated.
I wonder, is there a limited fuel on these HPDs that they can only go exactly halfway? I don't know. It's strange that he just decided to exit out like that.
Well, he was the last prototype. I mean, they had all come in. He went one more lap to stay out.
Well, just thinking out loud here, you can do about 45 minutes in an HPD tank. 60%, you're looking at close to that 30-minute mark, Joe.
McGarvey and Swidervich now just rolling out.
Darling has come in, we saw on screen.
And that gives Haley the lead right now. He's still yet to pit. Still yet to pit. Rosenbaum. Those are your top three now.
Steven, you don't really need a stopwatch down there for pit lane. You need more of a calendar here at Spa at times.
Yeah, it's about a minute 20 seconds for these guys to come into the pits and get off.
That is an eternity, even around a track like this where there are long lap times. There we see McGarvey currently in second, trying to do what he can on Swirly. Now that they've finished their pit stops, if he's going to have to overtake him, it's got to be on track.
And tell you what, Darling is outrun Costa big time here. Costa just coming up into Eau Rouge here as Darling is already down the Kemmel Straight. He is going to have the lead here, likely.
We see them climbing up the hill. That is Darling a long way ahead of Costa. Not something we are used to seeing. I wonder if Costa had to get that damage repaired.
You wonder if he didn't take the reset.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, he probably did. So his car should be fine at this point.
And guys, Matthew Epstein coming into pit road, slid it around the corner, gets in just fine though.
More and more cars come in for their stops on this very fuel-thirsty track.
Haley staying out another lap here.
A number of GT3 drivers staying out long, which we're used to seeing. Haley, Rosenbaum. Righty has yet to come in. Meyer.
Sean Reese just had a little issue, it looked like, coming out of the S's there. Coming out of the bus stop. Saw him way to the left.
Right now we're watching Reese and go back and check, see if I can figure out what happened to him.
Oh, he just got a little loose. He hit the curb there and got a little loose coming out of the bus stop. Nothing big. Nice save though. Wow.
Reese, of course, running 9th in his class, second to last at the moment. The only car behind him is in the pits, and that would be Ryan Bird, who's taking the long tow back to pit lane. 24 minutes left on the clock. We're going to try and get an interview in with Billy Smith in a moment. We're waiting for pit stops to finish up since this can affect the race significantly. McGarvey having to deal with that HPD traffic. That's the car splitting them of Scott Corbin. Has to wait until they come out of the second Stavolo Apex, and then Swirly is up next on his hit list as he swings on by. And now the race can continue. Understand that Robert Sklanka may have nearly missed pit road.
Yeah, guys, it looked like he was getting ready to come down pit road and may have thought about it for a second too late and had to turn in late and kind of slow up and get situated going in.
Number of drivers really not paying close attention to their pit strategy, it seems, as he comes to his stall. Hits it nice and squarely. He should be out and running again soon.
I know Bradley Haley enjoying out there leading in the GT3s, but he is about a half a second slower than the guys he was racing with than Costa and Darling. So I'm not sure this is going to pay off for him.
I think this is going to hurt him, Bill, because I think it's going to hurt him because he's going to spend longer time on pit road getting fuel, because I'm assuming he's going to take fuel only here. He's going to come right now, but that's 2 laps later than everybody else.
And it looks like follows him in. Same thing with Rosenbaum. That should be pretty much all of our top runners who have come in for stops. Let's watch and see how this plays out for them. Darling, your highest pitting GT3, who has taken his one and only stop. Costa about 3.5 seconds back from him.
Costa
Darling's
was
coming out of stop lot right now.
Costa was 3 seconds faster in the pit box. We'll see how that plays out as Haley.
Yeah, Darling's coming up on Blanchimont right now, so it's going to be pretty tight, I think.
The advantage to going a little bit farther, even though you start with the same amount of fuel and burn the same amount of fuel, the closer you get to the end, it's easier to calculate, I guess, how much fuel you need if you don't have so far to go.
Yes, less variable in the amount of laps.
Haley
Darling-
just got to a stall right now, and here comes Darling coming out of the bus stop. So depends how quick he can get through La Source here.
Might be a little bit tight, but I think with the lap times that we were seeing, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to get out ahead of
Haley's
Costa.
leaving now.
Darling's coming out of La Source, heading down the hill. He's having to let some HPD traffic through. And somewhere in all this, we have missed that Gerard was passed by Tinsey, who has taken his free repair. His car is fast again, and he has taken advantage of that refound speed.
And Darling did keep the lead. However, Costa is going to get by Bradley Haley too. So Haley will fall back into third, but he'll be able to, looks like, run right here with Costa potentially for second, but Darling is gone.
Well, it looks like for Haley, it's nothing lost, nothing gained, as he was in third before the pit stops. With that said, and it looks like all of our pit stops now done, let's take a chance to talk to our third place championship contender in the GT1s, and that would be Billy Smith. Billy, it looks like, unfortunately, another disappointing race today.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, me and Leaf put in a lot of practice for this race, or a decent amount, and felt like we were pretty fast there, but it just was not to be today.
Tell us about your view on the incident that gave you damage coming up to Blanchimont.
I mean, I didn't really know that I think you guys had it right. I didn't know that Ryan Bird was there, but I was clear and just got, ran into the back of. I really hate it for Laurel there because he got some unnecessary damage, just a bystander.
Well, next round when we come back, we should be going to Phillip Island with the start of the Asian leg. Do you fancy yourself having any better luck or much more speed out there on the island?
I think I'll be all right. I like the track. We've found a few things with the car that likes these tires a little bit better, so I think I'll be all right. It just seems that the Aston Martin just have a little bit of the edge over the Corvette.
Well, commiserations, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
So I got some other news in case you guys didn't hear already.
Okay.
So we're going to be running the Ferrari and I guess the Ford GT next year, and John's going over to the Ferrari, and so it looks like I will be in the HPDs. So that'll be an interesting change.
Oh, that'll give us some excitement, I'm sure. We look forward to seeing you up there in the fastest class next season.
All right.
That was Billy Smith, who is unfortunately DNF'd for today, is third in the championship. Hopefully he'll still be up there when today is over. Now, we did have a bit of a change in the GT1s, it sounds like, Bill.
Yeah, I was looking at a great battle in prototypes right now. Out in front, it is McGarvey ahead of Sidorovic. Sidorovic still out there. Kundinger, though, racing in third position, if I'm correct on that one.
Yeah, that looks to be correct.
And Postma has made a move as well, as he's caught up into fourth position.
Something that we missed in the GT3s was just as we went to the interview, Bradley Haley had a moment out of Ravage that lost him a big chunk of time on Costa and is now fallen back to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, not to mention Costa might be the fastest car in this class right now. He is about a half second faster than Darling just that lap last time by. And you can actually see him right there up ahead. So Costa is bringing in distance on Darling.
18 minutes left on the clock. We're close to the final quarter of this race. Let's give you a rundown now that pit stops are through of the top 5 for each class. John Ulmer has been leading since the drop of the green. And right now that gap to second place is about 2 seconds. Over Tinsey, who's on a tear now. He's got his fresh car. He's overtaken Jason Gerard. Let's see what he can do. Gerard is not giving up. He's only 3/10 back. He is in third place. Alex Simonik hasn't really been a factor for the podium, but he's been holding on. He is still in fourth. He's only 2 seconds back from Jason Gerard. Scott Corbin, slow, but, well, not, I shouldn't say slow, but definitely steady for the number 77. He's rounding out the top 5. He's going to bring another good haul of points with a decent finish here in the HPDs. Let's go to the GT1s.
In the GT1s, it is McGarvey out in front. He's got a car between him now of Duprat. Duprat's going to get around McGarvey out in front by about a second. Sudovic should be able to run him down. Then the surprise move is Carter Kundinger, who's got up to third position. He has about a 10-second lead over Brandon Postma, but I think Postma is going to need a little postage to bring this car to the finish, as his pit stop was about 3 seconds faster than anybody else in his class. Don't know if he has enough fuel. He may have to mail it home from here. And Paul Lindsay running in 5th. Chris?
Yeah, Paul Darling leading the class, but here's the situation right now. His last lap was a full second slower than second place Costa, who got that car fixed. You can see the damage is gone on his left front. So Laurel Costa right now in the second position here in class. He's got Scott Corbin coming up that'll pass him there. And then right behind Costa, you have Bradley Haley. They're third in class. And how about the guy fourth in class? The pit cycle, it cycled through, and look who is here in fourth. Benjamin Hackison, the guy who started last in class, is P4. However, Mr. Ooms there, Jeffrey Ooms, is looking to make a move here for that fourth position. We look to have a battle here on our hands for P4.
So there's your top 5 rundown in each of the classes. Lap 21 out there in this 60-minute race, rather, as we watch Jeffrey Ooms in that 5th place, recently overtaken by Hackson, coming from the very back. What a run by Benjamin. Could get himself onto the podium and keep up his streak.
Joe, this lead is getting closer and closer and closer in the GT3 class. And Costa can almost get the draft now on Darling.
You can see him in his windscreen, and certainly I'm sure Darling is aware, if he's got his F3 box up, that he can see the closing of Lauro Costa. He has to be aware of his dominance so far in this season. The first time that Costa finished off the podium was this last round, and it wasn't due to a lack of speed from Costa. It was because of an accident that kept him out of things. A self-spin early on that set him towards the back of the field, and then an incident with another car wrecking him out on the front stretch. Look at him close down into the bus stop.
Wow.
Interesting big picture dynamic there as well, as Darling is not in the points chase. So, and we talked about Costa does not have a lot of pocket points to bounce off on. So if anything bad were to happen to Costa, he'd have to score it.
Meanwhile, behind them, the driver really wanting them to start battling and maybe slow their pace down a little bit by driving side by side is Bradley Haley. Now, has Haley won yet this
something
season?
happened to Hackison. Hackison off the pace here. Something, either out of fuel or something.
Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Hackison. Coming
Car
out
didn't
of
go.
Maybe something with hardware?
He's
Could
towed
be
the
his
pit road here.
Maybe his pedals have failed on him. Hackson is a UK driver, so it's pretty late, but he's managed to do well in the previous races that he showed up. It's unusual. And what's happened to Boafia?
He has blown an engine.
Oh.
Put a Honda in his car.
Yep, and there we heard it. Coming through Blanchemont. It just expires.
And Hackison just said, "Thanks, guys, was fun." That's all he said. So I don't know if he just had to get out or something, or what. Meanwhile, whoa, getting tight here for the lead. Costa and Deprat. Deprat was all over the curve. And Costa's cutting some dirt up.
HPD's definitely splitting up our GT3 leaders. And this is going to give a little bit of breathing room to Darling as they fly towards Blanchemont.
I'm curious to see what kind of damage Deprat might have on his undercarriage from running at it. He was literally square up on the curve, his car.
Once again, though, it looks like under braking, Costa just has the legs on Darling. Gains ground hand over fist.
He might have a good fight here. He might be able to get the draft up Eau Rouge and be able to put the battle on at Lacombe's here. We'll have to see how well he gets through La Source.
And Bill with the stats here, hit him with me. What's Haley gotten this season?
He did. You asked if he had a win. He did get a win. He had one at Sebring earlier on. So he's looking to double up here if he can get another one.
Sure, he is eager to get one under his belt to try and see if he can do anything to Costa. Darling, in the meantime, looking at his mirrors, seeing Costa start to gain ground.
Oh, he's looking.
Oh,
He
wow.
dives it in there.
Wow.
Deep, it takes the lead. That's a power move.
How did he come from that far back?
And let's give Paul Darling a lot of credit for not turning down into him. He must have had a good wide mirror.
Yeah, was this intentional? Did he miss his breaking point and just somehow got it to stick? My goodness.
That's impressive. Oh, Costa's got loose getting out of that corner right there. A little oversteer, but yeah, that's a winning move right there.
All right, I'm
So
going to
it's
say
not-
that Darling was 3 seconds faster in the pits. Maybe he decided it was better to have to follow than it is to lead. Maybe it might be a fuel issue.
It's your favorite story, Bill. Oh, and Gerard, whoa! Gerard having to take way off track through Eau Rouge. He was close to Tinsley. I was keeping an eye in case that battle erupted. Let's watch from on board for Gerard. He's coming up to the Cookie Monster and then took too big of a bite out of things and had to take off track. Epstein, I didn't think he expected him to go around the outside.
The what?
The Cookie Monster? Have you not seen Epstein's car? Let's get a close up for Chris here.
Oh, okay. I thought I was hearing a Cookie Monster corner. I'm like, what?
No. Epstein just has probably one of our favorite paints we've ever seen.
Hey, Bill, you got a battle for your class leader right behind the GT3 class lead.
Yeah, it is very close. Tinsley and Gerard doing okay back there, but McGarvey is really in a close battle. It's got Haley right behind him now. Look at this. He's going to go. Oh, where's he going to go? He's going to go here. Oh, look at the run that Sidorovic's going to have here.
But he can't do anything with it. They're coming down to Eau Rouge unless he's extremely gutsy, and he is not. He's not willing to try and risk the car into there. Falls back just a little bit. You were talking about all the straight lines. Unfortunately, I feel like the track weaves back and forth a lot, Bill, and you saw that with Haley, who had to take off to the right as they come down to Eau Rouge.
Yeah, that is one of the places that certainly, that's the exception that proves my rule there. That's an ugly section.
That's the phrase that you like from the IndyCars, that Pruitt fade.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Look at that. Boy, they continue to work their McGarvey on the inside of Darling
These are
now.
leaders in GT3.
Yeah.
Both lead battles have found one another. They've split up the GT battle just a little bit.
And there's a prototype right behind them, Joe.
Ooh, this is going to get all the more interesting. Now they finally get by them.
Yeah, the GT1s clear the GT3s before the prototype gets in there of Sean Reese.
Whoa, Sean Reese tries to go around the outside of Puhan. I'm sure Costa did not appreciate that one.
That's the same way where Tinsley went off, too, I believe.
Yes, it was. I'm surprised these HPD drivers are brave enough to try that. Now he's going to hopefully not interrupt our battle for the GT1 lead as he comes up to Sviatovic. He's waiting for a chance to go by.
You got Dino Topic coming up again, Joe. Sorry to interrupt you.
So they come down to Blanchimont. Oh, he's trying to go around the outside. He's in the grass. He stays out of the way of the battle, and he's still trying to find his way through. Has to back out of it. Here comes Swirly down to the outside of McGarvey. Tries to beat him to the second apex, but just can't do it. And you're right, Dino Topic now rocking up to the back of this.
I'm glad Topic is there because it really explains why Reese is putting on being such a pain here to the leaders and the GT1s. He's in a battle.
Still can't find his way through. Coming around La Source, Reese really wants by Swirly.
And you got to wait pretty much to get through Eau Rouge. You can't make the move here.
No, he's going to have to wait and use the speed through here. But look at how much Topic gains on. Topic doesn't want to give up his momentum. He tries to go to the left side of him.
Got him.
Great
it's
stuff.
going to be interesting.
Nearly gets onto the grass. He might slow up our GT1 leader just a little bit, but McGarvey is able to stay out of him. They're split once again by Reese, who finally gets by Swirly.
Dino Topic playing some chess out there. pinned Reese behind the slower class, made the pass.
Topich looking faster than a low-flying plane and getting himself up from what was early problems in his race. He's now up to 8th. Still, Reese cannot get by our leader.
Oh, he dives under him. Oh, wow.
I was going to say, he was trying to think about the inside, but thought better of it. God, I'm just kind of entranced watching to see how this is going to play out.
Well, McGarvey doesn't get anything here. He has to make the pass. It's not McGarvey's fault.
Well, and I'm sure McGarvey wants him back there because he's putting a buffer between himself and Swirly. He says, you can just stay back there as far as I care.
He should be able to get him here.
Yeah, this should be a clean pass. Now he's through.
Well, something tells me there's a couple hands out the window.
Yeah, but Topich is long gone, Sean.
Oh, and we can find out what's happened to Ben Hackison. He's rocked up in our ready for interview room, so let's get a mic on him, talk to Ben before he goes to bed, and see what caused him to pull over. Ben, do you got a copy?
Hi, guys.
Ben, we were a little surprised to see you retire. Can you tell us what happened?
I just needed fuel save for 2 laps. I didn't really want to do it at this time because I've hurt my wrist in one of the crashes as well, so I just didn't think it was worth it and just let, I think it was Jeffrey behind me go, see if he could catch the lead dive.
Did you say you hurt your wrist? Do you have a direct drive wheel?
No, I just snapped it back trying to catch it.
Ah, I gotcha. Well, commiserations. Unfortunately, this is going to break your streak. You were finishing on the podium every race that you entered in this series. We're sad to see that end.
That's a shame, but I don't think I was going to make it anyway. So.
Well, that was Ben Hackison. Commiserations, and hope to see you back next round.
Thanks, guys.
DNF 4 today for the GT3 driver, but an excellent run through the field up until then. We're looking at our overall leader, John Ulmer. We understand that Haley's making this a close one right now.
Well, with all that nonsense that was going on with the GT1 guys going through and then Reese coming through as well, that's allowed Haley to get right up in the mix. Don't know if he has the pace to run with these guys, but he's close.
Yeah, when he's out there on their own, when there's no lap traffic and that kind of thing, Haley's not been as fast as these top 2. As a matter of fact, Darling and Costa have been pretty much neck and neck speed-wise, especially once Costa got by. Darling's been able to stick right there with him. But when they get caught up in traffic, Haley definitely takes advantage.
4 minutes left on the clock. It is ticking down at this point. Believe they are going to get the white flag next time by. Actually, not quite. They're going to have 2 laps to go next time by for John Ulmer.
That may not be good news for... I know I sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist here, but that may not be good news for some of these guys that I think have fuel issues.
And GT1 up for grabs once again as Swirly takes a little bit of a look into the bus stop. Coming out, tries to find the grip, but that AstroTurf doesn't offer it up. So the Aston Martin is going to have to wait a little bit longer to get his chance as they break down into La Source. Can he get the run off of here? The sharp hairpin, they're about dead even now as they plunge down the hill.
I'd be surprised if he even wants it. I think I've been watching Sviatovic. I think he's going to make it down into the bus stop on the final lap. He'll stay close enough here and then have that drag. Oh my.
Contact for second back here in GT3. Darling and Haley made contact as the Cunninger GT1 car got by Darling. Here's the thing, though, in this battle for GT3, look behind him. There are not 1, not 2, but 3 HPDs coming into the picture. This is going to get really interesting in GT3.
This first one is our overall leader, John Ulmer. He's going to be able to get one of them. He's going to get Darling, but I don't believe he's going to get Costa.
But they're all coming. So that's not the first prototype that's in a hurry that they're going to have to deal with, because Tinsey is coming and Gerard's not far behind.
And
he drove it in there.
Forcing some aggressive moves as he has to at this point in the race, trying to run away from Tinsey, who's really gunned him down.
That might have been the winning pass right there for Ulmer.
Tinsey got checked up behind Darling. He can't get around him.
Now he squeezes by, coming out of no name. Kundinger finally gets by the car of Lauro Costa. And that's going to be both of these that Tinsley has to deal with. He gets one in the form of Costa, times it perfectly as he gets the second one down into the braking for Fanyes, with Carter Kundinger now behind him. And as he slices through this, he's being chased by Gerard. GT1 leads side by side as they come up to Blanchimont around the outside. Swirly making a brave move.
There it is, gets it done. I thought he'd have to wait a little bit longer. I thought he'd get it done going into the bus stop. He got it done before. Let's see if he can keep it clean here.
I don't think McGarvey's going to take this one sitting down. He knows that this is his direct championship competitor. As he holds on to the back of Swirly's car, looks to the inside, down into La Source. Just a fake move as he gets back in. Oh my goodness! Very close to the rear bumper of Swirly, but I don't think he contacted him.
We got white flag out, Joe.
Ulmer on his last lap comes around La Source for the final time. Remember, he's only has to go out of the bus stop and cross the line there. So what can McGarvey do? Oh, and McGarvey got a slowdown.
Yeah, it's crushing him.
That is probably going to be it for McGarvey. Unless there's a major mistake or some traffic that gets in the way of Swirly, I think you can give this one to Vocek.
Yeah, if I may interrupt there, he tried to back up to not get as much aero push up there, up the, I forget the name of the turn, and just kind of pushed a little too hard.
Did he say aero push?
Oh yeah, the GT1s have a lot of aero push actually here.
That's Billy Smith, who's decided to hang out with us in the booth here for the rest of the race. As we watch on board Stephen McGarvey on that replay, you can see car just washed wide, and there it goes. So as we come back live, that unfortunately takes away the last close battle for the lead of these classes.
Oh, Darling about wrecked it. He might lose second with this, but he had to make a whale of a save coming off of the corner there. I couldn't tell which one it was.
We can watch this for a little longer. I've got my eye on Ulmer so we can go to him when we need, but Darling being hounded for that spot by Bradley Haley as they come up to Fanyes. Can he hold him off just that little bit longer? Half a lap to go. Meanwhile, let's go to John Ulmer as he comes around Blanchimont. 2 more apexes left to go. Ulmer says he's not good on the European tracks. Today, he's going to prove himself wrong as he comes around the bus stop and takes the win at Spa.
But just ahead of them, just ahead of Ulmer, is Svidovic and McGarvey. So they're going to have to go around one more time, a complete lap for those two guys. And McGarvey has caught up after that slowdown penalty.
Costa, well, you wondered if he could come back after starting in
for third
fourth.
almost. Ooh. Haley.
And just behind them, the battle going on, but Costa takes the win, and Darling just barely holds off Haley.
I thought Paul was going to lose second to Haley. Haley made a diving move, but good racing there.
Oh, McGarvey's caught back up to Svidovic as he closes in. He looks to the inside, down to the Lacombe, but he's not close enough. Out through Malmedy they go, across the top of the hill. McGarvey has somehow regained all that time. And Ulmer even got on the radio saying he had lifted a little bit to let them carry on this battle. I don't think Swirly necessarily appreciates that.
No, I don't know if Svidovic like that at all. He had her won. Okay, this will be it coming up here pretty soon.
Down through Pouhon. Svidovic has to minimize those mistakes. He can't offer any sort of opportunity for McGarvey. He's going to take whatever comes his way. To Fanyes, he's stretched the gap just a little bit. Under braking, McGarvey looking very strong. A little bit tighter to the apex. Down through the second half of the corner. Both of them about even now as they come out to Stavolo. McGarvey using every inch of the track. Through the first half of Stavolo, still nothing for McGarvey to gain as he can't quite get up under the rear spoiler. He's just a little bit too far back. That draft is not going to be there to help Steven. They come up to Blanchimont. It's going to have to take a wild move for him to do anything as they come to the bus stop. around that fast left-hander. He is way too far back. Swirly fought hard for this one as they break for the last corner. He's got to hit both apexes. You can see how badly that McGarvey wants it. He's not giving up, but Swirly holds him off and takes the win yet again.
I'd never hoped for a punt so much in my life, but I would have liked one there. That was fun.
We are going to take a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. On screen, we're going to have all the upcoming races here that we have on the channel. But after that, we've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched round 10 here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. Once again, they gave us a great show. All three of the classes really had a fight up front for most of this race. In the end, John Ulmer came away with the win. Not something we're used to saying here at the European rounds, but he did a stellar job up at the front. Robert Tinsley came home in second, beating out Jason Gerard after he had to fight back from damage early in the race. Alex Simonik, a quiet run to fourth for him, but still earned himself a good top five finish. Scott Corbin in fifth behind him, just ahead of Mark Wilson in sixth. Dino Topic came home in seventh today. He was followed by Sean Reese, who finished in 8th. Then in 9th, it was Ryan Bird, rounding out most of our prototypes. Let's go over to Bill for the GT1s.
Wojciech Sviatovic keeps the man who's chasing him in his rearview mirror, both in the points and on the track today. As Swirly gets the win, Stephen McGarvey comes home in second. You have Lionel Duprat kind of fitting in there with the prototype 2 laps down, last in that class. Carter Kundinger gets 3rd position on the podium in the GT1s. Brandon Postma, I said he'd have not enough fuel to get to the end. He had enough. He's going to get a 4th position. Rounding out your top 5, a very quiet race from Paul Lindsay. Matthew Epstein was up front, a little farther up earlier, ran into trouble behind them. Leif Peterson, David Sockrider, and Matt Owens rounds out the GT1s. Chris?
Yeah, Laurel Costa going to get the win again tonight. The point leader going to extend it just a little bit this evening. Paul Darling, a great run. Unfortunately, fuel kind of hurt him when it was all over with this. He'll finish second in class, 21st overall. Bradley Haley going to complete the podium for the GT3 class. Jeffrey Ohms finishing there 4th. Sheldon Rosenbaum going to finish there 5th. Jim McInnes, Robert Jackson, Christopher Sherburne, I should say, also there finishing in 27th overall. Miguel Meyer, Robert Skolenka, Dave Hill finishing 30th overall, 31st going to Michael Wrighty, David Tejada going to finish 32nd. I'll let you mention 33rd there, Bill.
33rd, Caradine Boafia. Back to you.
Thank you. Benjamin Axton finishing 34th. Kevin Santana 35th. Can you tell who the rookie is here? 36th, Billy Smith, and Mark Kudrowski in 37th. And last but certainly not least, Scott McGurvey.
You said Billy Smith really well, though. I mean, I give you credit on that.
That was tough. That was a tongue twister.
All right. So, with that said, let's talk to our winner overall, John Ulmer, who finally got to the top step here in one of these European tracks. John, hasn't been the best of the season since you guys went to these European rounds, but I'd say you had a good one today.
Yeah, I think I raced better with this really large chip sitting on my shoulder. Because let's not forget, I've won my last 2 races here. I didn't race last season here because I had a surgery, but prior to that, I won the championship here at the end of season 2, and then I opened season 3 with a win here. So that's why I called Spa a North American track earlier.
I gotcha.
It's like a North American track for me. So
yeah, you are certainly a force to be reckoned with on this one. Now, we've seen actually a number of hairy moves around the outside of Puhan where the HPDs seem to try and overtake the slower classes around the outside on the exit of that corner. Is that actually the best option for you guys around there, or is that sort of you have no other choice?
No, I think that's when somebody has no other choices. I didn't do it once. The problem with doing that is you're going to come away with some undercarriage damage on this HPD, and you're going to lose a couple tenths of a second up every straightaway, especially Kimmel. So I try to always make the pass on the inside through there.
It certainly seemed to be the smarter move, at least from my perspective. It went very hairy for a number of drivers, including Tinsey, who, as you said, sustained damage. Now, this went a little bit better than last night, where you had a few problems at Le Mans. Are you still tired from last night? Did that affect any of your preparation for today?
My butt was. I think my seat is done. It's time to unbolt this thing and put another one on here. It's gotten too much use in that car this last couple of nights.
Yeah, I can only imagine. All right, we're going to Phillip Island next round. You're done with the European season. Do you think you'll fare any better as we head to Australia?
No, this was my last chance at a win for this season. So I think I'm going to close the books with 4 wins. Hopefully, I can finish second or third in the last 3 races, and maybe get close to the championship. Maybe have a chance at it since it's so tight up front.
All right, John Ulmer hoping for the best in the final rounds, understanding what his strengths and weaknesses are. But our winner today, with number 4, as he said, on the season, up at the top step of the podium. Up next, we have, looks like our winner in the GT3s. Lauro Costa is going to talk to Chris Scala about his finish, where he had to fight from 4th to get up to the front.
Yeah, Laurel had a very good battle there and a very quick start. Went from 4th to 2nd there in the first couple of corners. Laurel, not an easy battle. You and Darling put on a pretty good show tonight. What was the difference between the two?
I felt my car was on rails, really. This weather was perfect for my setup. and it was really a close battle. It's not the first time I race Paul and Bradley for the win. These two guys are really, really fast. We also have Hackson, but Hackson was starting at the back, I think, but it is a really strong top four in the class, and the new guys as well. So it was my day, I think. The car was perfect.
Now, your day almost came to an abrupt halt earlier in the race. Talk about that incident there with the prototype and the GT1 car that sent you pretty much out towards the wall and had to avoid it.
So yeah, it was, I think 1 second ahead of the other guys was starting to calm down a little, save tires, save fuel, and then I see a GT1 and 2 HPDs behind me. I stay on the right, and the next thing I hear is my spotter saying 3 wide. I'm like, how can we go 3 wide in this corner? And of course, it didn't fit 3 cars on that part of the track. So when I saw the GT1, I think it was Bill, spinning, I tried to go to the grass and maybe come back to the track without damage, but I went right where his car was sliding on, so I took a little bit of damage on the front left of the car, lost a lot of top speed, but at least we had that quick repair, so it didn't end my race at that moment. But when that happened, I was having a lot of memories from last race when I didn't finish because of a wreck, so I just didn't want it to happen again.
And then came the pit stop strategy. Darling went in, and then you came in a lap later, and he was almost 2 or 3 seconds ahead of you, and you were able to hawk him back down pretty quickly. Talk about your thinking there, and did you feel like, okay, I might have just lost this race waiting a lap?
Actually, I pitted first, so I was behind him and with damage, so I thought...
Oh, yeah, I stand corrected. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, so I thought if I fix this damage, maybe I can go faster than behind him with damage. So just fix the damage as early as possible. That was the thinking behind that. But then he emerged like almost 4 seconds in front of me after the pit stops. I was like, how is that even possible? We are not taking tires, just fuel. The race is short, so there's not much to do there with saving. So I was starting to think maybe he could not have enough fuel to finish the race, and never thought the race was done. I just kept pushing and pushing, saw the gap decreasing, and when you see the gap decreasing, you just push even harder because you feel like you have a chance. And so yeah, he was saving fuel, and that made it a little easier to catching up, but it was close.
Well, it was still a great time watching you guys battle it out tonight. Laura, congratulations on your win, and we'll see you in a couple weeks here at Phillips Island.
Yeah, I hope it's a good race next one. It's just awesome to race with these guys. They are really, really high-level drivers.
Absolutely. So I wish you the best. And Joe, that's Laura Costa, the winner GT3 class.
Fortunately, Wojciech didn't come and join us. He was off celebrating with his team, it seems, so we don't have our GT1 winner, but we do have one of our HPD drivers who finished out in 7th today. Dino Topic with an early spin, put him on the back foot. Bill's going to talk to him about his recovery drive.
Well, you had a nice qualifying, Dino, in 5th, and then things went south on you.
Maybe. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, there we go.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, which excuse can I use? Bad setup, cheese from Motorcar, or something, all of the above.
Well, you were in a nice battle early, though. You watched it as you were having some fun early, and then you had some fun late too. You did make a nice drive back.
Yeah, I recently bought new pedals, and it's really weird because they're much different. And so I was conservative. I practiced as much as I could, but like in the race, I just didn't have time to think about it, so I messed it up. Didn't hit anybody, but then lap 2, I messed up in the bus stop, and then Sean had nowhere to go, so I had to pit for repairs. But at the end, it was all, it was a little interesting.
Let's put this one behind us. Let's look forward to Phillip Island. How do the HPDs fare there? That's got to be fun in this car. It's not nearly as open as Spa is.
Most sport with less up and downs.
There you go. There you go. Well, good luck to you there. The season's coming in. Let's see if we can get ourselves, if we can't get a win, let's see if we can get a podium down there in Australia.
That's the plan. I really like that track, so we'll see.
All right, Dino Topic, not his day-to-day, but Next week is another story. Joe?
All right. Well, we're going to close up for today. And first off, we want to thank the official sponsor of this series, the Autobahn Motorcar Group. And of course, big thanks to John Omer for organizing things behind the scenes. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see those listed on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide the music for our broadcast. Their contacts can be found there at the bottom. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Chris, Amjed, and Doug, and a big thanks to Stephen Parks, our pit reporter today. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, or Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Next race, we were saying it earlier, Phillip Island. It'll be 2 weeks from now, Monday, July 10th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Off to Australia, we go for the Asian leg. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.